Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. As many of you are already aware, and I have already told you on Saturday, Bill 5078 has passed in the state of Washington. I did not think it would. I had too much faith in politicians, voting their conscience after I spoke to them and they said, I just couldn't vote for this. There's no way. And then they still did. Have no respect for these people anymore and will do everything I can to get them removed from power. But like I said, it is passed. That is the magazine limit bill, to where now magazines in Washington cannot have more than 10 rounds as of July 1st. Now, today I wanted to go over what this actually means in the state of Washington, because I've had people offering me to buy my high-capacity magazines at only 20% off retail. But there's no reason for me to get rid of my magazines. In fact, this law makes it even more important that I keep them. And you'll see that when I go over it here. I'm going to go over kind of step by step what this ruling means and how I want to cover two things here. One, how it's mainly a burden on the gun shops, a financial burden, and it's also a way purely to keep people in the state of Washington from being able to buy certain guns. It's got nothing to do with stopping crime. It's got nothing to do with any of the bullshit about saving a life. It's only got to deal with preventing the people in Washington from having access to specific firearms that have more than 10 rounds in them and don't offer an alternative. That way they can limit the guns that come into the state. That's what it's about. It's about denying you access to your Second Amendment rights. Let's not get that, let's not mistake that for a second. And I'll explain why it will not stop crime. It is unenforceable. And like I said, it's just a burden on our rights and on gun shops. Okay, this bill will go into effect on July 1st, 2022. That's just a little bit of time here. We don't got a whole lot of time. Now, what is banned? Any magazine or firearm that holds more than 10 rounds. This includes tubular feed guns, etc. If it's a little .22 that has a tube feed that holds more than 10 rounds, you can't buy it in the state of Washington. So that's what it does. It bans magazines and any other firearm or device that holds more than 10 rounds. So most guns hold more than 10 rounds, period. So that actually means you're going to have to find an alternative magazine for most guns, or just not be able to sell them in the state of Washington unless you sell them with no magazine. And then what's the person who buys the gun supposed to do? Have no magazine if they can't get a 10-round magazine? So that makes it to where you just can't sell them in the state of Washington because no one would buy them. It'll put gun shops out of business. Now, here's the one thing why I would never sell my magazines. People keep asking me that. It's because if you already have them, as of right now, you can keep them. They're grandfathered in. If you already live in the state of Washington and you own high-capacity magazines, and I'm using quotations there, anything more than 10 rounds, you can keep them. You can use them however you want. You can take them to the range. You can carry them in your carry gun, which I actually didn't think we were going to be able to do, but you can. And you can do whatever you could have done with them before. You could even leave the state with them, come back with them. Now, you cannot bring new ones into the state. You can't go out of the state, buy them, and then bring them back. That's one thing you can't do. You also can't move here with them after July 1st if you're a new resident. You will not be grandfathered in. Now, the grandfather clause, I believe, is just bullshit, because here's what they'll do. Just like California did, they pass it with a grandfather clause because that gets it past some people, some FUDs and stuff that would have objected to it and fought back against it by saying, if you've got them, you can keep them. And then later they go, the bill didn't stop any crime because everybody already has them, so they're still having them, so we have to get rid of them. And they remove the grandfather clause. That's usually what happens with these laws. So it's grandfathered in for now, though. that people like me that already have a lot of guns, that have more than 10 rounds in the magazine, or more than are capable of holding more than 10 rounds, that don't use a magazine, we can keep them. We can use them however we ever did before. So I would like to know, how are police going to know by looking at someone, like say I'm carrying a gun and it's got a 15-round magazine in it. How are the police going to enforce that? Are they going to start harassing everyone who carries? Like, hey, when did you get that magazine? Did you buy that magazine before the ban or did you buy it after? I want proof right now. Is that what they're going to start doing to people? I can't see any other way they would enforce that. So seems a little odd to me, especially people who move in here from out of state. What are they going to do if they see someone carrying? Are they going to go on July 2nd? Are they going to start stopping people and saying, hey, I want to see your driver's license so that I can see you moved here before January 2nd? Is that what police are going to start doing? Harassing people for things like that? I hope they harass me. I hope they do something like that, because I would love to confront the effects of this bill in a court of law. But like I say, this is unenforceable. Another reason it's unenforceable, like I said, is I can go outside the state of Washington, buy a bunch of magazines, throw away the packages, and drive back. I can go right across to Portland, buy them, and drive back into the state. Or go to Idaho, buy them, come back into the state. Go anywhere I want, buy them, come back into the state with them. So, and what can they do? What are they going to do? Are they going to pull me over and say, well, you are guilty of buying magazines out of state until you can prove that you already owned them? There's no way to prove I already owned them. So are they just going to use this to turn people into criminals? Because if I did drive out of state with 20 magazines in my trunk, and then I came back, are they going to say, we want proof you bought these before, or we're going to take them, or we're going to put you in jail? Are they going to do that? How else are they going to enforce it? How are they going to prove where or when you bought the magazines? It's just stupid. Like I say, and I will say right now, if I buy a gun that's been neutered to 10 rounds and I need the standard magazine rounds for it, I'm going to go buy them. And then if they ever try to take me to court, let them try. Let's go and see how flawed your principle is on this law. Because I'm going to go somewhere, buy them, bring them back and say, I had these already. And if a cop says, no, you didn't, I'll be like, prove it. That's what the law is supposed to be. It's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. It's not on me to prove that I had them before. It's on you to prove I bought them after. And since I don't remember them taking my ID anytime I ever bought a magazine, if I go in and pay cash for magazines, there's no record of who bought them. So what are they going to prove? Like I said, unenforceable. The only people this really burdens is the gun shops, who have to try to find 10-round versions of guns. And if they can't find 10-round versions, they can't sell the gun. Or they have to take the magazines out of it and sell it without a magazine. That's burdening gun shops. They're trying to drive gun shops out of business. That is the two motives of this bill. It is to drive gun shops out of business. It is to limit what we as citizens can purchase. And of course, it's only going to hurt the gun shops because they have to follow the rules. And it's only going to hurt legal, law-abiding citizens who follow the law. Not going to hurt anybody else that's willing to, like I said, drive out of state, buy a high-capacity magazine. High capacity, once again. And I will say, I am one of those people. I would do that, hypothetically. Now, if you ever catch me with some, that's probably didn't do it then. Then you'll be up to you to prove it did it. But hypothetically, I would be one of those people. And I am going to start carrying a high-capacity gun just for the hope that someone says something to me. I don't usually carry one. I carry a revolver. But like I said, this law is unenforceable. It's just to damage gun shops and put them out of business, and it's just to limit what guns can come into the state and how we can exercise our rights. It's going to be harder to buy guns that you want in this state now. It's going to be hard for gun shops to stay in business and sell guns. That's what they want. They want gun shops out of business in the state. That's one of their two goals. They want to restrict our rights, run gun shops out of business. In fact, one of the main challenges against this law, in my opinion, is how they are damaging gun shop owners. They are putting their businesses at risk, their livelihoods at risk, etc. That's one of the things I think we're going to challenge this law on the hardest. At least it's what we should. Now, there are already other laws like this one that are already headed to the Supreme Court. There's two. I think there's one from New York, Maryland, and there's a third pending from California. We would be the fourth one that I think will be heading through the court system here pretty soon, if we even have to. If the other ones fall before then we won't even have to. But so I'll be keeping my eyes out for that. And here's another thing that's ridiculous. If people are still allowed to carry the magazines, and someone is carrying the magazine, if police aren't going to stop people just carrying to see what their magazine is and whether they can have it, if they're not going to do that, well, that if someone commits a crime with their gun and they have more than 10 rounds in their magazine, what does that fucking matter? They already committed a crime. You put them in jail for that. Why do you need to have the limit on their magazines? If they're a person who's going to go out and commit mass murder or something bad, I doubt they're going to follow the law. They're going to go to Idaho or Portland. Or find them on a forum somewhere where someone will send them to them. Bad guys find a way to get product. They're not going to follow the law. And by the time they commit the crime, what are you going to do? Like, aha, you murdered 10 people, but I'm going to get you put in jail because of your size of your magazine. No, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. This is going to have no effect on any crime. It's not going to save a single life, and it wasn't intended to. It's just going to burden gun shops, put them out of business, and it's going to burden citizens. It's going to make it harder for us to get anything we want, and that's their whole goal. Like I said, to run gun shops out of business and to infringe on the Second Amendment rights of the citizens. All right, I rambled for way too long there and probably didn't cover all the stuff I should cover, but that's it for me for today. I hope you enjoyed the show for however way that could possibly be enjoyable. But like I said, hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you come back again tomorrow. Thanks for coming today. And until tomorrow, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again.